I am Matthew Steward, President and founder of Steward Speakers.
And I'm Kimberly Bostic, Board Chair and Managing Director of Steward Speakers.
Welcome to Steward Speakers 2023-2024 Speaker Series powered by IUPUI.
This year's theme is sports and education and the African American influence. For more than 37 years, Steward Speakers has held true to its mission to inform, inspire, and invoke action fostered by meaningful dialogue and cultural exchange. And this season will not disappoint.
Steward Speakers will host Hall of Famer I am Matthew Steward, President and founder of Steward Speakers.
And I'm Kimberly Bostic, Board Chair and Managing Director of Steward Speakers.
Welcome to Steward Speakers 2023-2024 Speaker Series powered by IUPUI.
This year's theme is sports and education and the African American influence. For more than 37 years, Steward Speakers has held true to its mission to inform, inspire, and invoke action fostered by meaningful dialogue and cultural exchange. And this season will not disappoint.
Steward Speakers will host Hall of Famer, former Pro Bowler, and proprietor of Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharpe, at the Warren Central Performing Arts Center, February 22nd.
In honor of Women's History Month, Steward Speakers will recognize African American women leaders at the NCAA Hall of Champions on March 21st. This sold-out event will feature Olympian Jackie Joyner-Kersee and the Commissioner of the CIAA, Miss Jackie McWilliams.
And to close out the 2023-2024 season, the Steward Speakers Annual Gala and Award Ceremony will honor change makers in sports and education on Thursday, April 11th at Lucas Oil Stadium. This event will feature Super Champion Football Hall of Famer, 2023 Sports Illustrated Person of the Year, and Coach of the Colorado State Buffaloes, Deion Coach Prime Sanders.
Steward Speakers is proud to bring lectures and events designed to engage youth, families, and adult learners who rarely have access to nationally renowned African American leaders. This work would not be possible without the generous support of supporters like you.
A special thank you to IUPUI, our title sponsor, and presenting sponsors U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the Lilly Endowment, the Indianapolis Foundation, and Wabash College, as well as the generous support of the Indianapolis African American Quality of Life Initiative.
We are excited to engage in these meaningful discussions that inform, inspire, and invoke the action necessary to continue thriving as the city that we all know and love so much, Indianapolis, Indiana. With your help, Steward Speakers will continue to live up to our motto, more than just talk.
Thank you for the introduction. How are you all feeling tonight? Are you guys ready to have a good time? Oh, because boy, we have a treat for you tonight, and we appreciate each and every one of you for taking your evening to spend time with us for a very, very important cause, and I'm so happy to serve as your co-master of ceremony for tonight's Steward Speakers. Mark Mullins, do you guys know who Mark Mullins is? Okay, I know y'all could do better for Mark now. Y'all know who Mark Mullins is? Steward Speakers has served the Indianapolis community to inform, inspire, and invoke action by fostering meaningful dialogue and cultural exchanges by bringing its exceptional lecture series and events to our community. How many of y'all, is this your first time? Somebody said, oh no, oh no. I like to hear that. They said, no, this is not my first. Hey, Amisha, how are you? All right, sorry. Y'all know us news girls. You know, when we see somebody we know, we got to say, hey, girl, hey. All right, well, these events are designed to engage youth, families, adult learners, and others who rarely have access to nationally and internationally renowned African American leaders, and they represent the best and most respected individuals in their fields, including politics, education, military service, science, and medicine, journalism, and sports and entertainment, and so much more. So without further ado, I want to welcome you, or bring to the stage rather, the founder and president of Steward Speakers, Mr. Matthew Steward. If it wasn't for him, none of this would be possible. So let's give it up for him.
Speech for tonight, remarks, 10 pages, single-spaced. And I was tricked. The board chair and Jennifer McLeod, I'm gonna call out the names, asked me to submit my report so it could be included in the run of show. I did that. When I got the copy of the run of show back, my report, my remarks had gone from 10 pages to 3 pages. They told me double space, but as I looked at it, it appeared to be triple space. So I just want to let you know the remarks that you're going to hear tonight are not the remarks that I initially submitted. And with that, here are the remarks. So I am Matthew Steward, president and founder of Steward Speakers. On behalf of Steward Speakers, I would like to welcome each of you to the 2023-2024 speaker season. I would also like to express our sincere appreciation for the work and partnership Steward Speakers has shared with IUPUI, our title sponsor. We congratulate Dr. Latham Romchan for being named the interim chancellor of IU Indianapolis. Let's give her a hand. We thank her for her commitment to diversity and supporting all of IUPUI students and the Indianapolis community through this partnership. IUPUI's commitment aligns with Steward Speakers' mission to inform, inspire, and invoke action by fostering meaningful dialogue and cultural exchanges. We do that with exceptional lectures and events designed to engage youth, families, adult learners, and others who rarely have access to nationally and international renowned African American leaders. We are grateful for this opportunity to partner with IUPUI, the Indianapolis Foundation, the Lilly Endowment, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, Wabash College, and so many other long-term sponsors. This season, our theme is sports and education and the African American experience. With that, we have brought in leaders, individual stories that will help us continue to bring attention to critical conversations to the community during 2024. You will hear more about this season, one we believe is one of the most engaging and anticipated seasons of more than our 37-year history. A history that has featured icons that challenge and encourage us. We will celebrate accomplishments and continue to give opportunities to our youth and community who otherwise would not have access. Your support helps us continue this work, and you should be applauded. Thank you very much. Before I close my redacted speech, I want to thank our season ticket holders, our Steward Speakers board members and team, and all of those gathered here tonight. This evening simply would not be possible without you. We did not get here on our own. Thank you for coming tonight, and enjoy the program.
All right, let's give it up one more time for Mr. Matthew Steward. We want to thank you for your commitment in serving the Indianapolis community. And this evening could not be possible without the support of a very special community partner, Warren Central High School in the Metropolitan School District of Warren Township. Let's give it up. Coming to the stage, I want to now introduce you to Warren Central High School Principal, Ms. Masimba Taylor, for some remarks.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm James Taylor, Director for Student Services for the Metropolitan School District of Warren Township, and I want to welcome everyone into the east side of Indianapolis, the pride of the east side. Thank you for coming to spend time with us. I'll be brief but brilliant. I want to let you know that you are a part of history today. I wanted to introduce the first Black principal of Warren Central High School. Give her a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. I want to introduce you to the first Black COO of Warren Township, Marcus Clayton. And now, Ms. Taylor.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. I am the proud principal of Warren Central High School. I am the proud principal of Warren Central High School. I am so excited that you all chose to have this here with us as we talk about what our mission is for our students as a district. It is exposure, exposure, exposure. You've got to see it to be it. So when we bring these powerful Black and brown figures into our community to reiterate the greatness that is within, it only accelerates what we are trying to do. And I'm excited that for our students, there are several students that you may have had a couple opportunities to engage with this evening, but for them, this is an experience that they will take with them. So sit back and enjoy yourself. If there's ever anything that you need from the east side, the pride of the east side, anything that you can bring, because we will take it, resources, people, all of those things. We need you. Our youth need you. And again, welcome to Warren Central High School, the pride of the east side. Have a good evening.
So much excellence in one room. Don't it just make you feel good? Wait, I can't hear you. Y'all say, yes, yes. So much excellence in one room. Don't it just make you feel good? All right, that's what I like to hear. So since I've been here, in a matter of 10, 15 minutes, I've noticed that I'm starting to get added in a lot of social media posts. So let's do some little social media housekeeping right now. And we want to make sure that you are following the Steward Speakers on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Steward Speakers. And we also have the hashtag, sports and education, and more than just talk. Sorry, this tree is blocking my vision. Thank you. We got to help each other out. All righty. So before we get started or go any further, we want to take the time to thank, of course, our sponsors. We wouldn't be here today. None of this would be happening for as long as it has been happening. So we want to take the time to go ahead and thank all of our many sponsors, including that one, I think it's on the second row. You see it says WRTVABC. All righty, thank you so much for all of our sponsors. And of course, to stay in the know, just head over to www to stay on top of all the events and schedules happening for this series. And once again, make sure you're following on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, LinkedIn. All righty, so in 2021, Steward Speakers launched its education initiative and committed to enhancing their partnership with colleges and universities by intentionally advocating for racially conscious policies, practices, and learnings to embrace the growing needs of Black and brown students. Now, to combat the widening gaps in college matriculation, persistence, and graduation rates between Black and brown students and their white peers, the goal is that all students see themselves reflected in their education and have opportunities to apply practical initiatives to effectively make positive change in their communities. And unfortunately, we didn't have a representative tonight to represent IUPUI, but we want to make sure that we send out a lot of love and a lot of thanks for their commitment to Steward speakers for over the years. How about that? All right, moving along, I want to introduce you all to this amazing young woman that I had the pleasure. Now, I'm going a little off script, so I do apologize, but I promise it won't be so long. I remember the end of last year, I was at IBE. They had their career fair, and this bubbly young woman, she came to our booth, and she was just talking. She was like, hi, I'm gonna say her name in just a minute, but she was introducing herself, and I just honestly could not tell you anything else she said because I just enjoyed her energy. You know how you just meet someone and you're like, wow, her style, she just captivated myself, my colleague there, and we were like, wow, what can we do to help this young lady to do whatever's necessary? So when I got the call about doing Steward speakers and they were going down the list of who all would be there, they mentioned Olivia West. And before I knew it, I said, I know that young lady. And they were like, really? I said, absolutely, she's dynamic. So I want to go ahead and introduce you all to Miss Olivia West. I'm going to read a little bit about her so you guys can be familiar about her background before she joins me on the stage. But Olivia talks all things basketball, business, and community. She obtained her education from Purdue University. Uh-oh, I hear it. Go Purdue, go Purdue. And she's from LaPorte, Indiana. She passionately serves a dynamic in-game host as the captivating voice behind the Indiana Pacers and the WNBA Indiana Fever. Now, I know that you all go to the game, so you guys, you hear her. Olivia enhances the game day experience for fans and brands alike with 11 other partners, such as the NBA All-Star and Athletes Unlimited Women's Basketball. So without further ado, I'm gonna let her come and tell more about herself and get tonight started. I want to introduce to you, reintroduce to some, Miss Olivia West.
Level up, level up, level up, level up, level up, level up, level up. All this on me so yummy, all this sauce so yummy.
Hello, how we doing tonight? Hey, that was a heck of an introduction. Whenever I'm feeling down, I just want to run that back real quick. Thank you all for being here tonight. Listen, NBA All-Star was last week, but this is the place and space to be tonight in Indianapolis, Indiana. Now, I heard some of you when they said Purdue, like, ugh. And like, that's fine, you know, not everyone can go to the best school. But I am so excited to be with you here tonight for this candid conversation with Shannon Sharpe. We got any Club Shake Shake fans in here? I know, that's right. He is backstage like, yep, that's me. So tonight, without further ado, it is my pleasure to welcome Shannon Sharpe, a 3-time Super Bowl champion, a Pro Football Hall of Famer, the proprietor of Club Shay Shay Podcast, and the host of Nightcap with Ocho Cinco. Get on your feet, Indianapolis, and give a warm welcome to Shannon Sharpe! I think you're good. Mic check, mic check.
Mic check, testing.
Testing, can everybody hear us okay? Yeah, all right. Was anyone here at the celebrity game last week? Yeah, make some noise. So with under 5 minutes left, y'all were tied, right? So you called a timeout. What were you saying to your team?
Well, I think the biggest thing was that, look, I felt that we had the best player in Micah Parsons. We had the 2 best athletes on the court, which was Micah and Puka. And like, instead of settling let's put the ball on the floor, let's get to the basket. And make them foul, make the officials call a foul. Now, they weren't calling a whole lot unless it was obvious, but I just felt that with Puka and Micah, we could get whatever we wanted if we put the ball on the floor. And Micah was able to get some putbacks. He did a great job. And then Puka hit a three, and then I think Dylan Wang ended up hitting a three. No, Puka hit a four, and Dylan Wang hit a four. And so that put us up, and then we ended up getting out to like a 12, 13-point lead. They made 2 quick baskets, but it wasn't enough.
Yeah, it's like, well, from what I can remember, right?
Yeah.
He's like play-by-play. Obviously, y'all, a commentator right here, right? You saw him on Undisputed, and now with your new show with Stephen A., amazing. Hey, we got a lot to dive into tonight.
Okay.
And when I was introducing you, I forgot something that was really, really important, where you went to college.
Yeah.
So let's hear some hoots and hollers for any HBCU grads in the building.
But what I did know, the MC, Amber Grigley, she's like, hey, Shannon. I'm like, okay, I think you might know my dad, the name. I said, Casey? She's like, yeah, that's my dad. Her dad and I played together at Savannah State. He was a senior, I was a freshman. And he kind of took me under his wings and showed me how to do certain things. So it just shows like almost 40 years ago, here she is doing her thing, and I'm so proud of her. And Griggs, man, it's unbelievable.
That was amazing. It was seriously like a little family reunion. It's like, hey, did you know my uncle?
Yeah, and I'm like, and your mom, I remember her mom was an AKA, Antoinette, and
Oh, no, Shannon, why you have to say that? Why you have to do that?
It was unbelievable. It was great. It was great.
Amazing,
Yeah.
amazing. Well, thanks for sharing that. That's always fun when home feels like everywhere because
Yes.
you got your people everywhere.
I did not expect to see someone that her parents went to Savannah State. She ended up matriculating at Savannah State. I did not expect to see someone that went to Savannah State, and especially someone that I knew and played ball with at Savannah State. So it's always great to really, no matter where I go, when they say, hey, I went to Savannah State, my parents went to Savannah State. So that's always good. It's always good that Savannah State, we're all over.
I love that. I love that. So I know not everyone in here went to Savannah State, right? Very, very, very small school.
Yeah.
But we are family, and people call you Unc.
They do.
Right? People
Yeah.
call you Unc. And I would love for you to share with us why people call you that. Because, listen, black people call you that, and white people call you that.
They do. And there are people that are older than me that call me Unc. I said, nah, we got to be bros. You can't be older than me and calling me Unc. We ain't got. But you know what I think? It's a very good term. It's a term of endearment. And I don't know when it happened. I think it happened. I went on Undisputed. The Broncos had beaten the Cowboys, and I wanted to celebrate. And I was like, man, how am I going to celebrate? And at that time, all the cigars, and so at 3:30 in the morning, there's really nothing open I can get a cigar. So I grabbed some, I think I grabbed like some Black and Milds, and I had some Hennessy. I put my stocking cap on like I would normally. And I'm like, I wonder what people are going to think of me. They go like, this is a D-fool out here on live television with a stocking cap with Black and Milds and Hennessy. And from that moment, I've been Unc ever since. But also, I'm that guy that shows up to the cookout, to the family reunion, that tells the stories, that keeps everybody laughing, that they're like, I don't know if he's drunk or not, but that's a very interesting story.
There you go.
But I embrace the term. It really means a lot to me that my community has bestowed that name on me and what it means to make sure I live up to that.
Yeah, and it's, yeah. Well, and also, as you were playing that description, so many people in the audience, they're like, oh, either I know Unc or I am Unc sometimes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So talk about that community, right? I mean, you have been in the podcast game since the pandemic, right? And podcasting, we were talking about in the back, it's crowded.
It is.
It's a crowded market. Like, everybody have a podcast.
Yeah.
And most podcasts don't even have over 5 episodes. So not only have you been consistent, but your community has supported you every step of the way. So if you could just talk about how important and impactful that has been to you.
I remember when I returned to television. I was out of TV for about 2 years, but I was doing my own thing. So when I got let go by CBS at the start of 2014, so I did 2014, 2015 on my own, I found this studio in Atlanta that would allow me to come in, have about 2 hours of time. I was talking about like the 4 or 5 big games of the week, maybe the stories of the week. They would cut it, edit it, and I could put it up on my social media page because I wanted to stay close to the game. I wanted to still talk about the game. And so I did that for about 2 years. And then when I went to Undisputed, what fell into our laps, unbeknownst to us, was the Colin Kaepernick situation. And a lot of people shied away from it because they're afraid. But I felt Colin Kaepernick was on the right side of history. And so, and when I did my research, and I have a minor degree in history, so I was very familiar with race relations in America. I was very familiar with the race relations in the military. Military didn't become segregated until 1948, although they had blacks had fought in every war fought on American soil and soil for the history of time. But you fighting for this country, but you got to fight blacks only. And then when you got back home to America, you were treated less than, and you were fighting for rights in a foreign land that you didn't enjoy when you got here. So, but I think for the very first time, my community felt that they had someone that was on television that was going to speak what they could.
Yeah.
I was the guy that was going to shine the light on a community that didn't have a light shining. And so the support and love that my community, and I'm sure white people supported me also, but my community and the way they stood down for me, even when I was leaving. I remember when it was all happening with Fox, and I was leaving in the middle of June, and I read so many text messages. I read not text messages also, but social media, Twitter and IG. They're like, we following Unc. Wherever Unc go, we're going. And they showed up in droves. The way they supported Nightcap, the way they supported the Club Shay Shay, the way they supported me on First Take, it's been unbelievable because none of this is possible without them. And so I am very appreciative of the love that they've given me since I've been back on television since 2016. But to answer your point about the podcast space, when the pandemic happened, there was no live events. I was like, well, maybe if I can just give people something that they could watch that could take their mind off. Obviously, everybody was in the same kind of bubble. It was more difficult in some states. We were in California where they totally shut it down. I mean, there was nothing going on. And I just started reaching out to people that I knew. I started a podcast. I was like, obviously my brother was gonna be my first episode. And then I just reached out to people I know. I reached out to Floyd Mayweather. I reached out to Ice Cube. I reached out to Snoop Dogg, Rick Ross, Master P, guys that I had a personal relationship with. I said, man, I don't know if you've ever done this before. I was just wondering if you could do me a solid. I'm starting a podcast, and I would like for you to be a guest. They're like, oh, no problem, Sharpe. Hey, no problem. We come on. And we started off, and we started building. And I remember talking to my producer, CJ. I said, CJ, this thing is going to be so much better once we can do it face-to-face. Yep. And once we got face-to-face, it kind of took off. But my platform is unique because I don't look at myself I'm not a journalist, and I don't look at myself as interviewing my guest. I'm having a conversation with my guest. And although it's my platform, I don't think the viewing audience and the listening audience wants to hear my voice. They tuned in to hear my guest's voice. And so I allow my guests to speak their truth. Now, you get to determine if they're right, if they're wrong, or it's indifferent. But that's not for me to decide. Now, if you want hard hitting and frontline, there are places. 60 Minutes have that, 48 Hours have that, Dateline has that. But I think in today's thing, we want to hear stories, and I like to have people that are interesting, have a very unique story, and can tell that story. And so I've been very, very fortunate that I've had, for the most part, of the 100, I think we've had 110 episodes, probably 105 or 106 of them I personally reached out to, because even though I have a booking agency, I'm still the best booking agency. When they see,
there you go.
When they see that blue check in their DM, and I say I would love for you to be a guest on Club Shay Shay, that means a little bit more than having a booking agent saying Shannon Sharpe would like to have you on his podcast. And so that's kind of how it happened.
Yeah, and how meaningful is that too, that you're not just sending a blank email or,
No, it's personal. With a lot of grammatical errors. They like, that's him. Punctuation is off, misspelled words, things left out. They're like, yeah, this got to be him. This got to be him.
But there also must be something about that couch that you have in Club Shay Shay that when people sit down, it goes down. It goes down. There's something about that couch or your cognac or something about that podcast space.
I think for me, what I've tried to do is provide people a safe space. I'm not going to interrupt them. I'm not going to talk over them because I've invited them on my podcast for them to tell their story or to share their story. Maybe they're going to say something for the very first time. Maybe they're going to share something that they haven't shared in a very long time. And I've been very fortunate to get people to open up to me because when they come on, I'm not looking at them with judgmental eyes. I don't have judgment in my heart. I've asked you to come on. I want you to share your story. You can tell your story better than anybody. I don't know your story. And a lot of fans that's watching and listening, they don't know your story. So they want to hear you tell that story. Now, everybody is not going to be excited that you're telling that story, as I'm finding out. And I found that out the hard way. I was like, oh, wait. It's kind of like, when you're growing up and somebody tells a joke, and they talk and somebody starts laughing. They're like, what you laughing at? I'm like, whoa, he told a joke. So I guess the way we played, if you grin, you in. So I guess because it's my platform, I get lumped into it also, even though I'm Switzerland, I'm neutral. I don't say yeah and try to go deep and go further. I'm not trying to be like that. And it was hard for me to, for the longest time, it's taken me recently to get over, because I've done 110 episodes and people judge me on 2. They don't talk about, I had Ricky Smiley on, nobody said I was messy. I had Steve Harvey on, nobody said I was messy. I had Michael Blackston, I had Desi Banks, I had Country Wayne, I had Ced the Entertainer. Nobody said a word. Monique and Kat say what they say, now I'm messy. So if Monique and Kat says that anywhere, and I said this earlier today, what I felt and what I see is that people say things, they say their real feelings, and they disguise them in jokes. And so for me, I was like, man, they really jealous of me. They really hate me. They mad at me. And then I realized they're not mad at me. They're mad it's me.
Oh.
I'm in the.
Ouch.
I got the guy.
Yeah.
See, Cat Williams is at 60 million views in less than 2 months. Only one other video has ever done, in the 20-year history of YouTube, has ever done that many views. Joe Rogan. I got that.
Yeah.
So you telling me, if Cat Williams says, I want to come on your podcast, nah, Cat, I don't want to have you. Really? If Monique comes, come on now. Yeah. Because, and then what really started to bother them, I don't know if it's like, okay, I get if the people that he was talking about, they're upset. People that do podcasting, that do this, that's in the space, they started adding up. Hold on. He did how many views? How much money could he possibly make? He did this many downloads. It had this many impressions. So that means sponsors and advertisers are going to want to be because he had the. Oh, so that's what it was about. That's really. But you notice a lot of times, if you want to find out how people really feel about you, start to leave them behind. People will really tell you how they feel as long as you're here. If we're in the same location, I'm your dog. But if I get a mile in front of you, man, yeah, he always thought he was better than everybody. I ain't but a mile down the road. And so that's what I started to see. People that I thought, and look, I don't have a whole lot of friends. I have people that I was friendly with, that I've offered information to. I've told them, to try to help them out better in their careers. And then all of a sudden, people start to say things. But this is what I tell people. Just because you was first to do something, that don't mean you're the best to do it. And a lot of times people believe because they're first, that means they're the best.
Yep.
No, it does not. And so me, I just work extremely hard. I mean, my team will tell you, we grind. And I pay you a great salary. You get great benefits, but we're gonna work. Now, Shay Shay Media only have room for one lazy person. I'm it. And I'm not lazy. That song by Nipsey Hussle, All My Life I've Been Grinding, it amplifies. That's who I am. I work. I mean, we did nightcap last night. We got nightcap tonight. I got to fly back. I'm flying back to LA. Then I'm getting on the plane coming back to Jersey. Then I'm coming back to Atlanta. Then I'm going to Dallas. I'm going back to LA, and then a week later I'm going on to Colorado.
Yep.
But I'm also doing First Take. So people don't see, all they see is the success. And that's what I told this, Ocho and I, we was talking about on Nightcap. I say you judge a man where he's standing, not knowing where he came from.
Yeah, yep.
See, you look at me and you see this, but you don't see the work that I'm putting in behind the scenes. All you see are the benefits, but do you see the work?
Yeah.
No, because you got to have a reason. Man, Shannon Sharpe lost his job. How does he get voted the #1 sports personality? How does he get to have 2 top podcasts in the top 5 on YouTube? How? He had to done something. He sold his community out. What? How? What? What did I do? What did I do? Nobody can tell you what I did to sell my community out. And then, you know how it is. As soon as somebody's us in our community, this is what's most disappointing. As soon as one of us start, especially a male, you start questioning sexuality. Because we know in our community, and I understand that, it's okay, but it's still something about that in our community. And so they label that. Well, you've never seen me with anybody. Nobody's ever said, you started that. Because why? And then people just like, okay, yeah, I can see it. I don't see it. I don't see it with no woman.
Yeah.
Why? I mean, so what I'm supposed to advertise? But see, that's what social media has allowed us to do, because everybody shows everything. Let me show you my girl. Let me show you my car. Let me show you how much money I got. Let me show you how many diamond rings I got. I'm a very, very private person. That's the way my grandmother was. She raised us to be that way. Yeah, I allow you to see. You see my dogs and stuff like that. But for the most part, I'm a very, very private, guarded person. For the longest time, I didn't put my kids on social media. And I was like, look, my grandson, I've never posted my grandson. That's not my job. That's his mom and dad's job. If they want to post him, post it. My kids, my daughter's like, hey, I say, look, once I post this, what's gonna happen? I post them, I don't follow my kids on social media. They don't follow me on social media, because they don't want people to try to go down the list of like, I wonder if that's his daughter. So they want their privacy. I want my kids to get whatever they get for their hard work. I don't want them to gain or be denied because of who I am.
Absolutely.
So,
as you were talking about how hard work and your merit have really paid off for you, it makes me reflect on this quote that actually my high school basketball coach said, that hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
Yeah, exactly.
And being first is not enough. Not in this game.
No. And my grandfather told my brother and I something. We were very young. My grandfather died, I was 8 years old, but I can remember everything he ever said in my presence. He said, son, never mistake habit for hard work. He said, just because you do something over and over, that doesn't mean you're working hard. And a lot of people mistake habit for hard work. You see people go to the gym every single day at the same time and their body never changes. You see?
Yeah.
That's because that is a habit. Man, I went to the gym already. I done got it in.
Yeah.
You ain't working hard. You're like, man, I don't know. I think this dryer shrunk my clothes. No, the refrigerator shrunk your clothes.
Oh.
That's what shrunk your clothes, the refrigerator. Ain't got nothing to do with no dryer. Ain't got nothing to do with this size. Nah. And that's how we were. And I remember they asked at what age did I start working. I had my first job. I was 5 years old. I worked in the tobacco field from 7 until 5:30, 6 o'clock. When I got 7, I was still working in the tobacco field. But then we got a job catching chickens at night.
There we go.
So I was working from the time I was about 7, 8 years old, maybe 9. I was working about 14, 16 hours a day.
Wow.
So hard work has never bothered me. And people are like, man, the NFL got to be hard. The NFL was the easiest job I've ever had.
Wow.
Because it was something that I loved doing.
Yeah.
I just knew all those jobs, catching chickens, cropping tobacco, clipping onions, loading watermelons, baling hay, digging peanuts, digging sweet potatoes. I did all those jobs knowing I don't want to do one of these jobs when I become an adult. So, and so that's kind of how I got my work ethic. I've tried to instill that in my kids. It's hard when your kids see you have, but I've been very blessed and fortunate that my kids do have a strong work ethic. They know I'm there, but I'm last choice, not first option.
There we go. There we go.
You got to figure this out. Now, I've given you the best tools I possibly can. Sent you to the best schools from K through 12, sent you to whatever college that you wanted to go. Let's figure this out. And then if it doesn't work out, hey, you have dad in your corner. But I don't do lazy. I demand it that you work hard. I demand that you be respectful to your mom. I already know you're gonna be respectful to me because I don't play. But I just believe in hard work, and I demand that from my team.
Yep.
And they're like, when you going on vacation, I say they'll take a vacation when I take a vacation. When you signed up for this job, I said this is what I expect of you. Now you need to. Obviously, you get sick days if you get sick. I say now if you need a vacation before them, when you come back, there'll be somebody else in your place.
Ooh, wow. All right. So if anyone was hoping to like get on Club Shay Shay, listen, you're not gonna be able to work from home.
Oh no. You can work from home. Ash is working from home right now. Jordan, my country in charge of content, he's here, but Ash is working from home. But for the most part, look, it's not easy because, like you said, it's a very saturated market digitally.
Yeah.
Everybody is trying to do this. What's going to separate us?
Yes.
The grind. That's what we're going to do, what others are afraid to do or not willing to do. Because I believe if you're not willing to do what others won't, you don't deserve to be successful. You don't deserve to be great in a craft. And so we put the work in, we put the time in, and that's why I get so offended when people say he's not working hard, he's this or he got to eat. No, I didn't get it easy. Because I worked my tail off to get to where I got and to accomplish what I've accomplished, and I'm not satisfied.
There you go. There you go. So as we are thinking about working hard and people supporting you now, right? You had a team and people in your corner right from the jump,
yes.
Right? Talk to us about your humble beginnings, working on the farm, your grandparents raising you.
Yes, anybody that's worked on a farm. I mean, when you look at me and people, I'm 55 and the way I grew up, I had cement floors, a cinder block home, we had no paneling, we had a tin roof, we had no indoor plumbing. So even in the 80s, I didn't use a bathroom inside until I was 20 years of age.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, what was that like? I say, well, most of the people I knew didn't have no indoor plumbing, so it didn't bother me. I just knew my body was in Glenville, Georgia, but my mind was millions of miles away because I knew there was something out there better for Shannon Sharpe. And every day that I came home and I looked at my grandmother, I said, you don't deserve this. You deserve so much more for what you've done for us. You raised your 9 kids and you took my mom's 3, and you raised them and loved them more than you did your 9. So now my singular focus, nothing, no partying. I went to one party in college. I didn't hang out in high school. We play a game. I come home because that's where my grandmother was. My brother was off in college. My sister's of dating age. And so my nephew who had special needs. So I'm home taking care of that. So I've always been that guy that's been a provider and saw myself as a provider, working the amount of hours that I worked. And so, like I said, it just taught me what I didn't want to do, but I just saw people on TV and NFL players and professional athletes making a lot of money. Okay, that's what I want to do. I want to make a lot of money. I want to take care of my grandmother. I want my grandmother to be able to go fishing as much as she liked. I don't want her to have to clean nobody else's house. I don't want her to have to work in the fields and do it and pick peanuts or peas or greens for half. You pick a bushel, you give them a bushel. You pick 2 bushels, they get 2 bushels. Nah, you deserve better than that. For what you did, for what you sacrificed, what you gave up to take my mom's 3 kids and raise them as your own, that was the smallest piece of gratitude that I can show Granny. Thank you for everything that you did. I thank my mom all the time. I thank my mom all the time, and I tell people this all the time. Sometimes the best decisions doesn't involve you. When my grandfather died, 1977, my mom obviously came to the funeral. She said, Mom, I'm gonna take them boys back. My grandma said no. She said no. My mom didn't argue with her. She knew the best thing. My grandmother had been in my grandmother's home since 1970, since I was 2. She got on a train by herself, came and got me at 3 months old. My dad came back to Georgia, took me back to Chicago. I was 7 months old. When I came back and stayed, I was 2 years old. That was 1970. I had been in my grandmother's house since then. I slept in the bed with my grandmother until I was 15. My grandparents didn't sleep in the same bed. My grandfather slept in one bed. My brother slept with him. My grandmother slept in another bed. I slept with her. My grandfather passed in 1977. I slept in my grandmother's bed until 1983. I'm extremely close to my grandmother. I'm a baby. That's what she referred to me as. And I just try to represent her. I remember all the sayings that she said and how to treat people and, and so that's how I try to live my life by. I try to treat people how I want to be treated. I try to give everybody respect. You don't hear Shannon gossiping. You don't hear Shannon talking about people, because that's not the way I just remember one of the times I got backhand. I said something that I heard someone say it, and she popped me right quick, and she said, what did I tell you about speaking behind people? What she meant was, what did I told you about repeating what someone had said?
Yeah.
That taught me, okay, very early on, okay? Somebody say something, I don't mean you gotta repeat it.
Yeah.
And so that's how, anybody that know you from the South, and that's how grandparents raised you. And you're older, that's how your parents raised you. And my grandfather was very, very, very strict. He used to say, he had a saying, boy, don't make me chew this food twice. What he meant by that, don't make him repeat himself.
Yep.
They told you something one time. That was it. It wasn't no, sit down. Boy, who you getting on to sit down? There was none of that. It was sit down, the next time they knocked you down. So, so you learn early on, yeah. And so that's how, you being on the farm, you have responsibilities. We had hogs, we had chickens. And I remember like one time that my grandfather, he yelled at me and I started to cry. And my grandmother said, Barney, don't yell at him. He's just a little fella. And he looked at my grandmother deadpan. He said, Mary, we live on a farm, we have heavy machinery, and we have animals. He says, I tell him something one time, I need him to understand the seriousness of it, because I probably won't get a second chance to tell him. So I understood early on, when people tell me things, when my elders would tell me something, I listen. Because they might not get an opportunity to tell me that again. And so, for me, being up in that environment, being brought up how I was brought up, hard work. I remember my grandfather, I was young, he used to get my aunts and my sister up. He didn't believe in that laying in the bed. He would wake them up and say, get up and watch the sunrise. He didn't play that laying in the bed. There was no time at school, hey, you got up and, Saturday, hey, you want to, he would find things for you to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Like everybody's mama. It's like, wake up for what? I don't know.
Hey,
I just don't like you sitting there.
He's like, hey, y'all need to sweep these floors. I'm like, they cement. What you mean sweep? They're going to be dusty again. Rake the yard. He would leave. He would give us a choice like, hey, I'm leaving. When I come back, this house and the yards need to be clean. Now, he might turn around and come right back. But the house better be clean. The yard better be clean. And that's what he used to always tell me and my brother. He would say, he would tell us something, and me and my brother like, we'll get to it. He said, what did I tell y'all? He said, I see better than I hear. He said, y'all told me y'all was going to take that trash out. I still see it in the corner. So early on, we had the reinforcement, and then it just got to the point we had to understand what he meant by certain things. He didn't play. He was a very straightforward man. I appreciate that. I think I'm very candid like that. It's this.
Yeah.
Ain't no in between. I don't leave no ambiguity. You know exactly where you stand with Shannon.
Yeah, I mean, say what you mean and mean what you say,
Absolutely,
right?
absolutely.
And here, I hate to use the branding, but I mean, it is more than just talk.
Yeah.
When we are talking on the stages, you're telling your story, you were trying to say something, to instill something in people and stir something up inside them to believe more for themselves, about themselves, for their family. If you didn't have that vision, well, it never would have come to fruition, right?
Yeah, because my grandfather and grandmother, they didn't accept, I was, how old was I? I had to be about 6. And so I'm the youngest of all my cousins. Like, I got a cousin that's 7 years older than me, one 6 years older than me. My brother's 3 years older than me, and my other first cousin, he's 2 years older than me. So everybody is younger than me. And so it was somebody's brilliant idea. There's this big old wasp nest. It's about this big. Hey, you know what? Let's get some rocks and throw it up there and see who can hit it. Okay. That sounds like a good idea to me too. So we throw it, nobody hits it. And then I remember my cousin, Eugene, rest his soul, he passed away. He pick up a rock about this big. He throws, he hits it. They take off running. They running, I'm running too. I didn't run fast enough. Them yellow jackets tearing the back of my head up. Now we're down the road, I run straight home. I'm crying. My grandfather, boy, what's wrong with you? I'm like, Papa, they were throwing at the waltzes and they come down and sting me. He said, you should have run. I said, Papa, I did run. He said, you should have run fast. I'm like, I'm 6. How fast do you think a 6-year-old can run? He can't outrun a wasp or several wasps, but that's how he was. It wasn't a situation, and I've had to try to break that with my kids. Because, you know, when you growing up there, it wasn't no I love you. It's like you got food, you got clothes, you got a roof. That's love.
Yeah, food, clothes, roof, I love you.
Yes, that's exactly how it was. And so they were, I love, and as I look at the time, when you're a child, you're not there like, man, they really hard, because you hear the way your friends' parents and how they talk to them and how their grandparents were with them, they weren't quite the same as my grandparents. But as I got older, you start to have an appreciation for what the values and what they taught you and what they instilled in you. And to this day, even decisions that I might think about making, I could hear my grandmother in my ear. I could hear my grandfather in my ear. How you treat people, what you say to people. My grandfather used to say all the time, he said, boy, you be careful how you treat people. He said, because the toes you step on today might be on the foot, connected to the leg that leads to the butt you got to kiss tomorrow.
Wow.
Be careful how you treat people. You never know.
Yeah.
And in this business, what I've learned is not how much education you have. It's not who you are. It's the relationships that you can foster.
Yep. I mean, true with any business, right?
It is.
I mean, doesn't matter what you were trying to get. If it's views, if it's sales, if it's people coming to something, relationships over anything.
Is the most important thing in business. Because so many people like, hey man, I just love what you're doing. I love the way you conduct yourself. I want to help you.
There you go.
And I'm like, and it's kind of hard because how many times you actually think somebody wants to help you get better without having something in return? It's normally you thinking a quid pro quo, where you're gonna want, so what's in it for you?
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like, no, I don't want anything. I just love what you're doing. I love the man that you are. I love the way you carry yourself. And so this is what I think here. Here's a contact that could possibly help, but want to do some business with Nightcap, want to do some business with Club Shay Shay, that might have some investment opportunities. And so that's one of the things that I've always tried to do. I've always tried to treat people. I was never a bully. I didn't let people bully people when I was in school. I hate people that prey on the weak. I don't like nobody that try to take advantage of a child or animal or female, somebody that has special needs. I will not tolerate that in my presence.
Right. So we have talked so much, but I don't think we mentioned football once. we have not mentioned football once.
Football is what I did. It's not who I am.
Exactly. And it got you on the charts, right? But you came into our hearts for a very different reason, right? for the stories that you help tell.
Yes.
For the platform, the safe space that you've created. But I think some people want to hear a little bit about football. So let's just go there for a second. All right, tell us about, so in high school you played multiple sports.
I did. Played football, basketball, ran track. I did all the sports that my brother played. I wore the same number that he wore because I wanted to be like him. I've never had a hero outside that was outside of my home. I saw my grandfather, I saw my brother every day until my grandfather passed away, until my brother left in 1983 to go to college. So the foundation was established by those men. My brother and my sister we have a very unique relationship. My sister is like my mom, my brother is like my father, because my sister did everything that a mother would do for her child. My sister bathed me when I couldn't bathe myself. She did my homework. She signed my report card. She was the one that did everything like a mother would help her child. That's what my sister did. My brother was like my father, because now I got in trouble sometimes, but for the most part.
For what? Hold on. For
my
what?
My mouth talking back to my grandmother. and so my brother was like, okay. When I would do things, my grandfather would chastise my brother. He'd say, because you're the oldest, and you're the one that he's going to be around the majority of the time. It's your job to make sure he does the right thing. It's your job to make sure he says the right thing. And I didn't understand it. So, you know me, I do something just to get him in trouble. He make me mad. And my sister, we call her Buck. She had the hardest job. And people think me and my brother had the hardest job because, go to college, get our schoolwork, go to the NFL. She had the hardest job because her job was to make sure Granny had everything that she needed, because we couldn't function if our mind was worried about what was going on with Granny. So she took care of that. Anytime Granny needed, like when my grandmother went to the hospital, went to the nursing home, her final 2 years before she transitioned, my sister was there every day. My sister would wake up, go give my grandmother a bath. They didn't do that. My sister bathed her. My sister changed the bedpan. My sister fed her every single day for 2 years. When they lived together, my sister has never left. Once my sister came in 1970, she never left my grandmother's home. That was her job, to make sure Mary Porter was taken care of. So me and my brother could focus on, when I was at Savannah State, he was at South Carolina, when he was at Green Bay, I was at Denver or at Baltimore. That was her job. So she had the hardest job because she had to make sure Granny was taken care of, so our minds didn't wonder what was going on. And so my sister deserves a huge congratulations.
Yeah.
But actually, football was the worst sport for me in high school.
Really?
I only stuck with football because my brother played. I was a much better basketball player. I was a much better in track.
For real, but come on, everybody says,
No, I wasn't.
how many people sit at home like, well, I could be in the league,
No,
if things were different.
I'm not saying I could be an NBA player or I could have made the Olympics in track and field. I'm just saying in high school.
In high school, okay.
I was a better basketball and track and field athlete than I was a football player.
I gotcha.
I only stuck with football because my brother played football and I wanted to be like him. And so it was obviously the best decision, but I just wanted to be like my brother. He was my hero. And I remember when I first got my first college girlfriend looked just like his college girlfriend. Same complexion, same hairstyle. Their teeth were exactly the same, had a slight overbite, shape exactly the same. I'm talking about if you lined them up, you swear they were sisters.
Wow. Talk about following your role model. I want someone who looks like that.
But I saw him every day, and I saw the way he conducted himself. I saw the way he treated people. I saw everything that he did, and I said, that's what I want to be.
Yeah.
I didn't need to see somebody. I needed to see somebody that was tangible to me, that I could touch, that I could see.
Yeah.
That you tell me one thing, but you're doing something else. Whatever he told me, I saw it.
Yeah.
So when he told me to do it, I saw him do his homework. I saw the way he conducted himself in a public arena. So somebody outside that was telling me, oh, you should do this, go to school, I saw my brother do everything that he was telling me I should do.
There you go.
And when he went to college, he was more concerned because that was going to be the first time that all of a sudden I had to grow up.
Yeah.
So everything that my grandmother and my grandfather and he had taught me, now let's put it to work. Because it's one thing for someone to teach you something, but can you apply it?
Yeah, that execution, you know, you can know it, but if you don't do it, then you don't really believe it.
Correct.
Absolutely. So you were giving your Pro Football Hall of Fame speech, and I mean, it was outstanding message, and something just hit me like a truck when you looked out in the audience and you were looking at your brother, and you said you were the first one in the Pro Football Hall of Fame that is a Hall of Famer, but is the second best player in your family. Mm-hmm. So talk to us a little bit about, I mean, how you had a very, very successful playing career. So did your brother Sterling, but he had an injury that ended his.
Yeah, he had a C1, C2 injury in his neck. That if he dodged a bullet because in back-to-back games he was temporarily paralyzed, and so he was able to regain movement in his extremities, and he went to see a doctor, and the doctor says, if you were my son, I wouldn't let you play football again. And I remember him calling me. He said, Shannon, it's over. I'm like, what's over? He said, I'm done. Man, I cried because now we were on this journey together, and now I got to go this journey alone. Everything that I wanted to become, he was. Who's gonna do this, do that? Who's gonna watch over me now? It broke my heart. I said, well, I got one or two choices. I can sulk and ask the man above, why did he do this to my role model? Or I can become great. The way that I was going to repay him was to become what he believed I could become. My brother believed in me when no one else believed in me. He gave me the confidence. Shannon, you don't know how good you are. You're better than I am. And I genuinely, sincerely believe that he believed that I was better. And I tried to be better. But something clicked inside of me. And it just like, this is what Spanky would want you to do. This is how he would want you to conduct yourself. This is what he would want you to say. He always said the right things. He always did the right things. He was just always that. I couldn't, if someone says, draw a perfect role model, and I understand there's no such thing as perfect, but if I can get you 99% of perfection, I would draw a picture of my brother Sterling Sharpe.
That's amazing.
We talked from when we were in the league. I got in 90, he got in 88, so I got in 90. We talked every day on the phone. And then when he ended up having to retire in 95, we talked once a week, once a month. But when we talk for an hour. So we don't talk as much as we once did, but I can hear it in his voice when we do talk. Like he's a dad, like he's a proud, and sometimes I just want to tell you how proud I am of you, little bro. And I start crying all over again. Because there's something about when people tell you they're proud and they love what you do, but it's something else when your hero, when your mom or your dad or your grandparents tell you they're proud of you, because they genuinely and sincerely are really proud of you.
And really glad that their investment in you paid off.
Yes.
Right? I mean,
yes.
he was your first guest on Club Shay Shay.
He was. And the thing is, there was no money invested, just time, just love. That's all. That's That's all I needed for him to put his arm around me and say, I got you. My grandmother to say, baby, it's gonna be okay. I go to Savannah State. My grandmother would send me, she would have my sister fold it up, $5. Have my sister write a note, baby, that's all Granny got. So remember I told you I slept with my grandmother until 1983. And I remember it was so vividly, it seems like yesterday. And it was 36 years, 37 years ago. We had community phones. No one had a phone in their room. So I stayed on the long hall. There was a short hall, so there was a phone on the, we ended up getting 2 phones, but at the time it was only 1. And I remember it was quiet. I was like, man, everybody out. I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna go down and get on the phone. And so I go down, hit 0, I'm gonna call my grandmother collect. Hit 0, operator comes on. Yes, I'd like to place a collect call to Mary Porter from Shannon Sharpe. Lady goes, okay. Phone rings like twice. My grandmother pick up. I have a collect call to a Mary Porter from Shannon Sharpe. Will you accept? My grandmother said no. She said, I can't pay this $50 phone bill I got right now, and hung the phone up. It broke my heart.
Yeah.
Now, mind you, I had slept in the bed with my grandmother. I know the presence that I have in her heart.
Yeah.
And for a bill, a $50 phone bill that she can't pay, she doesn't want to talk to me, because now the bill is going to be even more. So I go back, I hang the phone up, and I'm go back, and tears are starting to well up in my eyes. But my roommate's in the room, and I don't want to see him. I don't want him to see me cry. And I go in my room, and I lay back in the bed, and I'm just looking up at the ceiling. And he asked me, say, how your grandma doing? I said, man, she's doing good. She told me to tell you hello. I've always had a desire to go play in the NFL. But if $50 will stop my grandmother from taking a call from me, it would have taken an act of God and 10,000 soldiers to stop me from making it to the NFL. Yeah. And I don't think that would be enough.
Talk about being purpose-driven, right? You knew your why.
Yeah, I've always known it.
I know you didn't mention it in the upfront, but the way that your grandmother defined a decent house, what was that? A decent house?
For 66 years, my grandmother had never gone to bed, have it rain, and not be wet the next morning. So when I told my grandmother I was gonna have some money one day, and I asked her what did she want me to buy, my grandmother never drove a car. I asked her, did she want me to buy a car and teach her how to drive? And my grandmother said, no, son, I don't want that. My grandma had like a little band. She had some little, I think my grandfather might have paid $20 for that ring. I said, Granny, you want jewelry? I said, what do you want, Granny? She said, son, I want a decent house. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, hell, we got money. We can get whatever kind of house you want, especially in Glenville. I said, Granny, what's a decent home? She said, son, she said, I want to go to bed one night. And she said, I want God to let it rain as hard as he possibly can. And she said, I want him to let it rain all night long. And she said, son, I want to wake up in the next morning and not be wet. Now, mind you now, she didn't mention anything about indoor plumbing. She just wanted to go to bed one night, have it rain, and not be wet the next morning. When my brother went to the league first, we go look at these homes. All new furniture. My grandmother tried to bring everything from the old house to the new house. I'm talking about those iron beds. My sister said, no, Granny. The couches that got tape, got duct tape holding together. The coffee table, they got, you remember those Sears and Roebuck phone books that's holding up the legs? My sister said, no, Granny, that's not coming. That's not coming. And then when I got to the league and I took over everything, that was the proudest days of my life, is that my sister would have to sneak my grandmother out of the house so we could buy her a stove or a refrigerator, because she said, that's those boys' money. Let them live. We good, Libby. Now my sister's having to dip the water out of the washer because it's broken. That's the boys' money, Libby. Let them live. I said, Libby. Granny said she don't want it. I said, Libby, call one of the boys, call my uncles. I said, call one of my uncles, have them take her fishing. Have the washer and dryer delivered. Have the refrigerator delivered. Have the stove delivered. I mean, that was, and when my grandmother passed, now you talking about, because I could see it. So we did this special, I don't know if you guys saw it, it's called The Road to Canton, and it's chronicling my journey to the NFL and to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but they go back to my hometown. My grandmother's in the hospital, in the nursing home. The very nursing home that she had worked, one of her patients that she used to have is now a roommate. Oh, wow. So, we're traveling around, we go to the old house. I take the reporter, Mike Kless, I take him to the school that I went to. We met my high school coach, and we're just talking. We meet some people like, oh, Shannon, he was funny. He was just a great guy, the same guy that you see now. We go back to the nursing home, and I'm getting ready to walk in the room, and my grandmother's crying. Now, she was even when my grandfather died, she didn't cry in front of us. I had an aunt pass. I had 3 uncles that passed. My grandmother never cried in front of us. So for me to see her crying, I knew something. I knew something was going on. So the reporter's behind me, and I stop him. I go in the room, and I sit on the bed, and I hold in my arms, just like this. I said, Granny, what's wrong? And she's just crying. She's just crying. And I don't know what made me say what I said. I grabbed my grandmother in my arms just like this. And she's crying. I said, Granny. I said, Granny. She stops. I said, Granny, it's okay. I said, I got him. I said, I got Libby, I got Spanky, I got Mama. Don't you worry about them. I got them. It's like she relaxed.
Because that's what she was worried about.
She was not going to go unless I told her. I had Libby, I had my mom, I had my brother. She needed to know. I said, Granny, that little boy that you went to Chicago by yourself and brought him back when he was 3 months old, and he went back when he was 7, and he came back with 2. I'm the man that you see sitting on your bed today because of you. We left. 2 days later, my sister called. Shannon, she gone. I said, for real, Libby? So, me and my girlfriend at the time, I put my headsets on, headphones on. I don't want to talk. All I'm thinking about is what am I going to say when I see my grandmother laying on that slab? She's gone. I know she's gone. My sister had just plaited her hair a couple of days early. I reassured her. I got her. So that Saturday, as I'm getting ready to go view the body one last time, what am I going to say? As I'm looking at her, I pause for just a second. And I ask her, I said, Granny, am I the man you thought I would be when you got on the train and came and got me at 3 months old and brought me back? Am I the man you thought I would be? And I said, Granny, are you proud? I said, because everything I've done in my life, I've tried to please you. I could see my grandmother almost smile. You're the man that I thought and I prayed you would be. I was at peace.
We absolutely praise God for praying grandmothers.
And so obviously people bring all these flowers. I've never had a flower in my life. So they bring all the flowers to the house. They bring all these flowers to the house. So my sister's like, anybody want a flower? Anybody want a flower? So this morning, Lily, it's in this little pot. I'm like, I'm gonna take that. My sister said, Shannon, you ain't never had a flower in your life. Won't you take one of these ones that's artificial, one of these plastic pots? I said, no, I want this one. I get the plant home. It's a little plant. I named it Granny. I brought a horticulturist in there. I said, I need you to tell me what this flower, this plant ain't dying on my watch. So I bring this horticulturist in. I need you to tell me what this flower is, this plant is, and how do I keep it? The guy looks at me, he says, Mr. Sharpe, this is what they call a morning lily. And they'll live a very long time. He said, but just make sure you water it and make sure it gets sunlight. So we did that, watered it, and it grew. Brought him back. I said, so what can I do? He said, well, Mr. Sharpe, that plant will get bigger if you resod it and put it in a different pot. I said, really? He's like, yeah. He says, it just so happens I got a big pot and some soil, potted soil, that I could do it for you right now. I said, do it. Now, that was in 2011, it's 2024, and it's about this big now.
Hey.
And it's in a pot about this big. I got it in my garden tub. It's a tub big enough to hold 2 people. But nobody's been in that tub since I set that plant down in that tub. And my assistant, Shelly, she has one job: make sure nothing happens to that plant. She has a lot of other jobs, but her number one job is to make sure Granny has all the food and the fertilizer and the best soil that she can get.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's amazing. Thank you. Shannon, we could continue this conversation for a long, long time. I know we talked about football a little bit, family a lot, because family is our firm foundation.
Yes.
Absolutely. But I think there's a couple of people in the audience that maybe have something to ask.
For sure.
And so we're going to take you to the audience, and we have Amber and Mark Mullins that are going to help us kind of field these questions. So anybody got a question for Shannon this evening? We would love to hear from you. I see someone. Amber, I'm going to kick it to you first. Mic check, mic check.
I'm on mic 6.
Mic 5? All right. I'm on mic 5. Unc, hello.
How you doing?
Thank you for being so candid and honest and brave with us tonight. I appreciate it. This is the part where we go to question and answer. People want to hear from you. They've got questions. And so my first question is from the principal of the very school that you're sitting in. This is Simba Taylor. And this question has to do a little bit with options for our young people.
So we are testing. Can we hear? Mike?
Yep.
All right.
We are good up here.
All right, so we're growing some great student athletes here, and as you know, we have several young men and youth and ladies who want to go pro. And so how or what would you say to these young folks who their goal is to go pro, but we know they're going to run into some obstacles? What advice would you give them that would help them still stay focused on the prize, but also understand that they've got to live life in between?
Well, this is what I tell people. A professional is what you do. A pro is who you are. Because a lot of times people get so caught up in doing a professional sport, they're poor people. So being a pro and being a professional are two different things. I don't look at life, I don't see failures, I see delayed successes. And just because it doesn't happen immediately, it doesn't mean that it's not going to happen. I'm a firm believer, if I see somebody else do it, that means it can be done again. And even if you have to, like, they're like, well, did you have a plan B? Well, plan A was to play in the NFL to get my grandmother that situation. Plan B was to play in the NFL and get my grandmother that situation. Plan C was to play in the NFL and get my grandmother out of that situation. But I did graduate. I got my degree from Savannah State. I think my grandmother is more proud of that than I am playing in the NFL. I think she's more proud of the way I treated people. Her greatest moment wasn't that, her boy made the Pro Bowl or All Pro, is that when people say, Mary, you did such a great job with them boys, they're so respectful, they're so mannerable. It's always yes sir, no ma'am. What I would tell kids is that you gotta believe in you and you gotta invest in you. Because if you don't believe in you, no one else will. If you don't invest in you, no one else will. Because if you don't believe in you, why should I? How can I see something in you that you don't see in yourself? So you've got to believe that whatever you want to become, you can achieve that. And that's what I tell, keep it positive. There are going to be setbacks. You're going to bump your head, and it's going to hurt. But don't look at that as a failure. Look at that as a delayed success and keep moving ahead.
I'm like getting motivated. I'm like, come on now, come on. We have a brilliant sister up here with the question.
Gotta love it. We're gonna step over here a little bit because I think we're getting some feedback. But this is 9-year-old Monroe. Monroe, do you want to share your question now? Yes. Okay.
If your granny was here right now, what would you say?
What would I say? Probably one of the few times that I could honestly say, Granny, I don't know if I said this enough when I was growing up, but I love you. I love what you did, not only for your kids, but what you did for my brother, my sister, and myself. And I hope you know that I've done everything in my life to please you and to make you happy. And Granny, none of this is possible without you. There's no doubt in my mind, had I been born to someone else, had I been somewhere else, this happened all because of you, and you should take a bow.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from up here. I want you to meet Isaiah. Isaiah's in the house with his question.
Hello, Mr. Sharpe. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, bro.
I appreciate your vulnerability today because I also lost my grandmother 2 years ago. And on January 8th, I released an album that I wrote for her. I never got a chance to, really show it to her or anything. But I wanted to ask, because I'm still kind of in that grieving stage, what did you do to get through that whole thing?
You never get over it. You just deal with it better. As time passes, you find ways to deal with it. You're never going to get over it. A part of me died when she died because that's how attached we were. And I appreciate you using the word vulnerable because a lot of times people see vulnerability as weakness. You can be vulnerable and not be weak, but you can be weak and not be vulnerable. Vulnerable means that you're willing to open yourself up and let your true self, your true emotions come out. And there's no shame in being vulnerable. Bro, there ain't no hurt like that. There's no hurt like, I'm talking about that kind of love. And unless you've experienced it and to know what that is, it's hard to explain. Sometimes things are offered without explanation. And sometimes you can't explain it even if you tried. And you can get some of the greatest professors and they couldn't explain it to you. But just know, your grandmother loved you. She sees you. She's not here physically, but spiritually she'll walk with you for the rest of your life.
All right, next we have Dr. Sean Huddleston, president of Martin University.
Thank you so much for everything you said. So Martin is Indiana's only black college.
Okay.
There's a lot of talk about HBCUs around the country, and I don't think people who haven't been on the campus of an HBCU or black college really understand. I went to Alabama State.
They don't.
What would you say you got from your experience at Savannah State, at an HBCU, that you might not have gotten at another institution?
I got history. I got history, not his story. I got an opportunity to see what people that look like me actually did for this. Not just build it, they built things in this country. Man, I had some of the greatest professors and doctors. Dr. Haynes Walton, and when I talk about him, I remember I was in his class for political science. And the only thing he came with was a piece of chalk. And he would start writing on the board. And he would start talking. I was like, how does he know what's in chapters this on this page? And he's writing and he's talking. I like, man, something ain't adding up. Ain't no way this man gonna come and teach a class the entire quarter with a piece of chalk. Man, I get the book. Written by Haynes Walton. What? I honestly believe that I couldn't have become what I became had I gone anywhere else but an HBCU. They made me feel like they cared. Yeah, they knew I was a good athlete and there was a possibility, but they weren't concerned about that. They was concerned about Shannon Sharpe and not who Shannon Sharpe was going to become. Now, they was concerned about who I was going to become because they wanted me to be the best representation of Savannah State. I owed them that. That's the least I could do, was to be the best representation of Savannah State. So someone else could see, man, he went to the NFL, he went to the Pro Football Hall of Fame, he's on television. From an HBCU, Stephen A. Smith, HBCU. Michael Strahan, HBCU. It can be you. I'm a living example. I'm a testament to that. But there's no question. It gave me great pride. And when I first got to the league, they used to joke all the time, you went to an online college, you went to this. I said, but guess what? That guy that went to Michigan, he my backup.
I love it. Mark, let's keep it moving. Just got about 10 minutes left for questions.
Right, we have 2 more questions left, and this gentleman flagged me down to ask a question. First, what's your name, sir?
Dennis Berg.
Hey, Dennis.
I'm from Claxton, Georgia.
So you know about the Claxton Poultry Plant. Yes, you know about the Claxton Fruitcake Company.
Yes, sir.
The fruitcake capital of the world.
Not only that, brother, I caught chickens, 100,000 chickens.
Thank you. Okay, there you go.
You brought kids to my house, man.
So you know what I'm talking about.
I know Gopher Blitz.
Okay, I know. Chief.
You know who I know.
Yes.
They played against Glenville.
You did.
Claxton, Coach Virginia.
Albert. Coach Albert. Absolutely.
God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is that like the best question you've
got?
Yes. Dennis was so polite. Like, can I ask the next question? Can I ask a question? Can I? And we did it. That wasn't a question.
God bless you, my brother.
Thank you, man. Thank you so much. Bless.
All right, we got Amisha Ramsey.
Shannon, good evening.
Thank you.
And you're welcome. I learned so much about you in this hour, and I'm just so honored, and I just respect you so much more. But I have a question when it comes to media. And when it comes to reinventing yourself or building a brand, there are times where you were at networks and contracts may have been dropped. What did you do in between the time to stay competitive, but also build your own brand, Club Shay Shay? Because there's a lot of reporters and journalists who want to do something like that. So can you tell us about that?
What I started doing is that I was building Club Shay Shay on someone else's dime. So I was drawing a salary from Fox, but I was building my own brand because I understood that they viewed me as talent. And as talent, you're only gonna make so much money. Now in this space, I can make as much money as the content that I create. So for me, ownership is where you wanna be. See, you can't fire me from Club Shay Shay because I own it. You can't fire me from Nightcap because I own it. Now, if you want to do business with me, you got to see eye to eye with me. You got to look at me as your partner because I don't need you. I don't need a network because I built something without them. So that's what I would say is that while you're working, you're drawing a salary, is the time that you start building your own. And you got to be dedicated now. And I remember, like I had Tabitha Brown on, not to change the subject. I remember having Tabitha Brown on. Now Tabitha doesn't know that in 2 months I'm going to leave Fox. So she's sitting down. We do the interview, and she leans over to me. She says, "Are we still mic'd up?" I said, "Yeah," but I said, "We can take the mics off." Took our mics off, and she leans in again. She said, I had a dream last night. She said, God told me to tell you it's going to be okay now. She said, now, you go do what you need to do. But he told me to tell you it's going to be okay. She said, you're going to do really big things. You just got to trust in him. And I'm thinking to myself, I know what's going on. Only a handful of people know what's going on. And she's not one of the people that know what's going on. So for her to tell me that, it gave me the assurance that I was doing the right thing and to trust him. Because I always say, no matter what I go through in my life, when I go through a hard time, I always say, God, I know you didn't bring me this far to just bring me this far.
Oh yeah. Amen.
You're gonna leave me now after bringing me this far? But you have to believe. You have to believe. Like I said, when you on a salary, start working on your next venture. Work on your next venture. If you want to do podcasting, it's a very saturated market. I'll be the first to tell you that. But you got to have a niche. And when you get that niche now, you're only going to get one chance to get their eye and their ear. It's just like you go to a restaurant and it's bad. You're not going back. Man, that was it. No, you're not going back. So when you get that audience, when you get an opportunity and you get that eye and you get that ear, hold it and build it.
Yes. To that point, I just want to add something. One of my really good friends, Anthony Murdoch II, he always says that when your brand is in demand, you can make demands.
Yes, absolutely.
You can make demands. Yes. You're the one in charge, so absolutely. Also, do not tell a room full of people. I mean, people driving home like, man, I got to get a business now.
No, but I mean, look, I never wanted a business until I got tired of people didn't want me to work in their business. It's amazing what you will do when you're forced to do it. Sometimes an empty stomach, a broken heart, make you do things you didn't think you could do.
Hungry dogs run the fastest.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, I never wanted to own a business. I kind of was content, just, understood the marketplace, but I was making a good living. But it wasn't until I'm like, man, no matter how good you think you're doing something, when you work for someone else, they have the ability to relieve you of that occupation. So now I was like, you know what? Let me do this. I think I can do this on my own. Surround yourself with good people that have the same, they got to be willing to work just as hard as you. Because if they don't, you can't want something for someone more than they want it for themselves. Now, I can't ask the people that work for Shannon to work harder than Shannon's working. They accept that. And so it's one of the best decisions. I'm glad that I got a head start. Club Shay Shay definitely wouldn't have been where it is had I not gotten started in the pandemic. Had I started this a year ago, we're not where we are. And it wouldn't have given me the confidence to start Nightcap. So we started Nightcap. I was like, you know what? Let me find a partner that was good at what he did, but he doesn't take himself serious. And, you know, we can, he doesn't take himself serious at all. But it works. But it works. And so that's the thing. And digitally, you see more and more companies trying to get in the digital space. And so if you can create a niche, and because that's what people watch. They watch their phone. They're on their tablets. Yeah. People are not going home like they once did. When I was a kid, you ran home to see your favorite program. Mm-hmm. Now, I can just stream it online. I can get all 10, 15 episodes. I can watch them one at a time. I don't have to wait till the next week. And that's where it's headed. So digitally is the space to get in. If you can create a niche, create content. And it's not easy because that's not what you do. Content creators, all they do is create content. Now you're trying to get into the content space, but you got a job in TV, or you got a job doing this. So when do you find time to create that content? For me, it's not easy. I get home on Monday. I got Nightcap on Sunday night. I got Nightcap on Monday. I got First Take Monday, Tuesday. I got 2 episodes of Club Shay Shay. I get on the plane and go to Jersey. I take Nightcap. I get back on the plane. I got another interview. I go to Dallas. I take 2 episodes of Nightcap. I go back to LA. I got 3 episodes of Club Shay Shay.
Talk about booked and busy, but truly, just as Madam C.J. Walker said so long ago, that she got her start by giving herself a start. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what you did with Club Shay Shay. That's exactly what led to Nightcap and all of these amazing opportunities. So Indianapolis, as we wrap up, please get on your feet and thank Mr. Shannon Sharpe for his time and energy tonight.
One slice.
Appreciate you, brother. Man, you made that really easy.
Grinding all my life, all my life. Grinding all my life, sacrifice, hustle, pay the price, one slice.
Oh yeah, and Nightcap is about to happen in an hour and 15 minutes.
Indianapolis, Club Shay Shay, Shannon Sharpe.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You know, before we get out of here, we want to make sure, give me 5 minutes, I'm going to wrap everything up and we're going to do this the right way, right? So it's Black History Month, and I was asked earlier this month what makes me proud about Black History Month, and I told them earlier this morning that it was them, but I think it's you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for 37 years of supporting Steward Speakers. Please make sure you complete your survey. This year is sports and education, and this was just the beginning. We'll see you next month on March 21st. Thank you.
If your dream ain't bigger than you, there's a problem with your dream. I expect to do what hadn't been done. I expect to provoke change. I expect when I walk into a room and it's 72 degrees, when I get there, it's gonna be 70. I expect to make change.